Time. It's versus Wisconsin, although we're not only going to be in the state of Wisconsin, but two of our cases do involve the state of Wisconsin. When I say cases, we're going to be talking about sovereign citizens. Yes, this is an apologetic movement, as you will see. We are going to tie it in with urban apologetics, the Moors, the Hebrew Israelites, and to help us do that, we have someone all the way from down under, warrior woman. With that, let's serve the underserved and look into the overlooked on Street Apologists Live. Are y'all ready? I'm ready. Let's go. All right, that's that. We are ready to start. Welcome to the program, Warrior Woman. I got your right tag in there, or is that your handle? What is your handle? Do you use it or Wawo?
I tend to go with Wawo, yeah, but Warrior Woman works too.
But if someone wants to find you online, which one would they go with?
Actually, probably Warrior Woman.
But is that the handle? Is that the... Anyways, we'll look at it and let me know. So apparently you're interested in the subject, and so I thought it'd be fascinating to have you on to talk about this. You sent me a ton of stuff related to it. Let's play this first video. So what's the context of this first video? It's titled something sovereign citizen before he bites off the cop's thumb?
Yeah.
You're the one who sent it to me. How'd you find this video?
Well, so basically I'm on all the law channels and they always bring up, and so I went from law channels to Dean, you and I both go onto these sovereign citizen sites, and it's become such a big thing since the pandemic. So you're getting mums and dads now. You're getting everybody. It used to be a very, Dean, you wrote a blog, and that she talked about the Moorish, which we'll do later, but the Moorish sovereign citizens. But this, what we're about to see, has spread to so many people now that people are using it for various reasons. But this thing here is interesting because, the cop's finger got bitten off.
Here, I'm gonna show her article real quick if I can. It's not cooperating with me though, so I'm gonna have to. I was gonna try to show the article, but instead it just showed you twice. Okay, so she did.
There's two of me.
Yeah, there was. So everyone, go to theshieldSquad.com. TheshieldSquad.com. At theshieldSquad.com, you can find Moorish sovereign citizens gun raid and showdown in rural Maryland. A little article about the Moors, and so. The Moors a lot of times get associated with this, but they're not the inventors of it, and not all Moors are sovereign citizens, and they're not the only ones, because some white supremacists and strange kind of nationalists get into it as well, and Hebrew Israelites get into it. So we're going to show a video of a sovereign citizen Hebrew Israelite confrontation with the cop. This is an apologetic issue because this affects you in real life. Imagine getting a speeding ticket, reacting like this. Let's watch
Ranking
this.
badge number, please.
I'm Officer Tim Edwards with the Norfolk Police Department. I need to see your...
Do you have a warrant?
No, I have you for speeding.
That's not a crime. Check on that. You trying to...
That's a key thing right there, wouldn't you say? Can you explain that? He basically just explained sovereign citizen in a nutshell, right?
Yeah, at the very base level, this is what most of us will see when you're scrolling through social media, especially YouTube. This is where your mums and dads even are now grabbing onto this sort of thing. So what happens is, basically for a sovereign citizen, what this actually means in a nutshell is they reject all levels of government's jurisdiction, which then extends, and who cops it the most is law enforcement. So you'll hear things like, I don't give consent. They'll only wind their window down just a crack. This whole idea of I'm a traveller, I'm not driving. So it's a play on words, and they carry this right through and frustrate law enforcement because they won't answer questions. So you'll see more of this.
Knoxville, Tennessee. This video is 4 years old. It's provided by the Knox County District Attorney General's office. It's going to show Alexander Ray Johnson, and he is going to claim in this video, because if someone says, well, why are you tying it? He's going to claim, you're going to see it in a second, he's going to claim to be a sovereign Hebrew Israelite. He's going to claim that in a second, to be a sovereign Hebrew Israelite. So everyone, the key here is these folks are saying we never consented to be governed by American law, so you can't force a contract on me. So the whole premise is everything's invalid, everything's imaginary, basically. Now, I'm not claiming to be the expert, and SC, sovereign citizen stuff, is very diverse, but he gives it away right here.
Search my
You
private
also
person.
don't have a valid license here, sir.
So you trying to force a contract on me, which I'm not obligated to perform under that contract. You trying to force a contract on me. Do you have a victim? Have I committed a crime?
Citizens of this city, sir.
I'm not a citizen. I am a national, a sovereign. Not a sovereign citizen, none of that. I am a sovereign Hebrew Israelite American national. I am not.
There you go. I'm a sovereign Hebrew Israelite American national. Apparently this thing's big in Australia too, eh?
Well, we call them over here, and it's so big after the pandemic, it's exploded, but we call them freemen, freemen on the land. And so so does Canada. So you find the Commonwealth countries will all call them freemen, but it's the same thing. It's the same bucking the system. It's the same, I don't have a contract with you. I don't know when in the show you want me to explain it, but just for those that don't really understand why they're bucking the system, it actually goes way back to your Constitution, to your 14th Amendment. But you tell me when to jump in and explain that.
If we never would have rebelled against the king's authority, none of this would have ever happened.
A sovereign,
Right.
not a sovereign citizen, none of that. I am a sovereign Hebrew Israelite American national. I am not a citizen. I'm of the Tennessee Republic, not the state of Tennessee, which is a corporation, and you are a private contractor for the state of Tennessee.
So everyone, what he's saying there, my understanding is, he's saying, first of all, there's no victim to this crime, so why are you pulling me over? Why are you stopping me? You shouldn't be allowed to do that. There is no such thing called Tennessee. That's imaginary. It's like a fiction. So who is the person bringing these charges? Who are you? You're just an independent contractor for this fictional thing, so you have no jurisdiction to do what you're doing right now. I'm trying my best to explain it, but we'll get into it. And the video, again, is titled Sovereign Citizen Records Confrontation with Officer Before He Bit Off Officer's Thumb. I don't want to laugh, and I hope the officer's okay in this instance. You know, I'm not a guys in blue are always right kind of guy at all. Far stretch from it. But you know, this and then biting off his thumb, I'm gonna go with the cop on this as far as that
It's a bit
goes.
much.
Yeah, so watch this.
We was speeding, but
I have no obligation to perform under the contracts that you're trying to force on me right now. You're violating my constitutional rights, which you took an oath to uphold.
So they'll try to use American law against American law in a way.
yeah, we right here. We pulled over.
You violating your oath. Like, do you stand in honor today?
Yeah.
Do you stand in honor of your oath today? I'm asking you a question. You have a duty to answer that question.
Okay.
You took that oath, didn't you? Did you not, sir? You violating your oath right now. You in violation of Title 18, 242. Title 18 USC 241 and 242. Why don't you go look that up? Because you're in violation right now. You violating your oath. I ain't committed no crime. I'm taking my kids to drop them off so I can take my wife out to eat. You are prohibiting me from traveling. You are detaining me unlawfully. I have not committed a crime. There is no victim. Where is the victim at? Who filed a complaint against me? No one. You have no probable cause whatsoever.
You got any paperwork on this car, sir?
Do you have a warrant? Am I obligated to show you anything right now? No, I am not. You are violating my rights.
Are you in the state of Tennessee?
No, I'm not in the state of Tennessee. The state of
How come he's not in the state of Tennessee? Doesn't exist. Doesn't exist, right? It's fictional. My favorite clip, I think we're going to get to it, is when the guys from Dow's church ask if Mr. Wisconsin is going to be showing up.
They all do that.
Yeah. Will Mr. Wisconsin be here today?
Right? Is Mr. or Mrs. Wisconsin coming?
In a way, you know, I'm kind of perverse in my humor. I kind of like this a little bit, even though I understand it causes problems, okay? Because I have a certain level of contrarianism in my nature. And so to watch these guys like give authoritarian people, nothing against the cop, but give authoritarian people like the runabout. Now, as long as no one gets hurt, I don't want anyone getting hurt. But man, it's kind of funny because they don't know how to handle it. Yeah,
Exactly.
and in a way, some of the stuff they're saying, I wish was true. I'm like, you know what? That would be really nice if that was right.
Yeah,
That would be
if it
really
followed through to a logical conclusion, if it actually worked, they've got a point.
If this was true, I would like this. You know?
Tennessee is a municipal. I'm in the Tennessee Republic. The Tennessee Republic, not the state of Tennessee, is a municipal corporation, and I am not obligated to perform. I have no contracts with y'all whatsoever. You can't. You trying to force a contract on me?
Driving on a city
I am not driving. I am traveling. This is the.
What's the deal with the driving versus traveling? Does anyone? I don't fully understand.
Yeah, so what they do is it's a very specific language that they use because to travel. So, for example, and they think they get away with this, but they don't. To travel back in the day when this first started could be horse and cart, could be walking, and so to them traveling's a right, whereas being in a car is operating machinery. So where our governments will say, well, hang on a second, you're operating machinery. This is not just about driving. You're operating machinery. You need to have a license. They say, I have the right to travel freely and I don't answer to you. It's just a word game. They don't ever get away with it.
Here, I'm going to type the video we're watching in the live chat if people want to go watch it for themselves. It's right there. I'll try to pin it later. But it says, we are watching this video. All right, let's continue on here.
This street is for the people, and I am one of the people of the Tennessee Republic.
The cop's not even saying anything anymore. He gave up.
And you have my private property right now, and I would like that back, please.
Yeah, sir. We're going to hold on to you.
No, you're not holding on to that. Now you stealing my property? Are you stealing my property?
Can I get some information about
That's
this
all the
vehicle?
information you getting. This is my private conveyance. This is not a vehicle.
How old are you, sir?
Sir, I don't answer questions without my lawyer present. I have not committed a crime.
This is not a private vehicle. I know they like to use the term, I think do they like automobile? There's some other word they use.
Yep. They use automobile, they use I wrote it down. They also put, you'll see many of them put on the back of, they don't have license plates, the full-on ones. They'll actually put not for commerce use, free traveler, no contract with LEO. They make up so many things to put them on the back. Even licenses, they make up their own licenses, their own currency.
Yeah, I'm going to show some pictures. I'm going to show some pictures later of their homemade currency, homemade IDs, homemade license plates, like you're saying, all that kind of stuff. So again, everyone, today we're doing a little bit different kind of apologetics. We're teaching you about something that does tie in with your theology, and it's an ideology that's kind of like a legal theory, but it's really pseudo. It's not legitimate, basically. And what's happening is we're showing how you have different ideologies that buy into this legal theory. Hebrew Israelites aren't the only one, but a lot of Hebrew Israelites do buy into this, especially Dowell's people, which we're going to show later.
I ask the questions, I don't answer them. I'm not trying to be rude, mean, or none of that, but you're not about to violate my rights. With all due respect, you took an oath to uphold my rights, and you violating them right now. Where's the victim at? Who did I hurt? The state of Tennessee? Bring the state of Tennessee out here.
There you go. Bring the state of Tennessee out here. They all say that kind of thing, right?
Keep that in mind throughout. There's a theme that they all use, and they actually get it from civil law. But you'll notice they all say it in their court cases. The plaintiff has to be the injured party, and the plaintiff must be a living, breathing human being. So therefore they say things like, bring the state of Wisconsin. Yeah. If the state of Wisconsin can't come out, then you have to let me go. So they're stealing from civil law. They get very confused.
And apparently they think that when they defend themselves in court, they're not actually defending themselves, but they're
Nope.
defending a legal fictional character that's been created without their permission, but they'll use it sometimes to game the system, but they're saying they're an intermediary between this system that's been propped up that they're fighting against and this paper entity that doesn't exist that the state is saying is them, the state which doesn't exist, of course, is saying is them. So since there's a connection to sort of avoid trouble, they will defend this as a meteor. So it's like they're defending themselves, but what they're defending is not really themselves because it's a fictional paper entity that doesn't exist. And they think the suit is also being brought by a fictional paper entity or something like that. And all bad jurisdiction. In fact, do we have any sovereign citizens now? I guess they don't maybe like that term. So if you have a term you like, please share. I think we have Jesse Jackson in the live chat. That's his name. It's IE. And I think he may be. And share your thoughts, Jesse Jackson. We'll take a look at him. Here we go.
Where's the state of Tennessee at since I violate their statutory code ordinance? Code and ordinances.
157, 136. What's your 20?
On the Milligan.
We're just west.
This officer right here violating my rights. He has no jurisdiction. He's operating out of his jurisdiction right now.
Fascinating, because Jesse Jackson, who I do believe in, so it seems like they're saying the same thing. Revolutionary Sword says, I follow this practice. Revolutionary Sword, your comments are welcome as long as you're respectful. Be respectful to you. We always want to understand the perspectives of others. So we're more than willing to listen to you. And Jesse says, is Congress the opposite of progress? And if you have another SC, let us know. A minute left in this video.
And I will be seeking civil suit on this officer in the state of Tennessee for violating my rights. You will be getting sued, sir. I just want you to know that.
So have you seen this thing where they love to sue everybody?
Yeah. So what this is, I don't want to go too far, but let me just cut this very short so that people in the chat understand. When Vocab was talking about this third party that they keep referring to and jurisdiction, what a sovereign citizen is doing, and I'll explain why a bit later when it's more relevant. Basically, when we're born, they think that when the gold, what's it called, standard stopped in, I think, 33, right, that the government, the real government, got taken over, right, not by another government, but that everybody became tradable. So what happens is birth certificates, notice on our birth certificates, they're capital letters. They're all uppercase, right? What sovereign citizens at the very core believe is those uppercase letters and the letters get traded, right? And that we all have an account, sometimes up to $600,000 in accounts as we're born. And that account, the name that they call it in sovereign citizen land is a SETI K, or it's spelt SESTI Q, but it's SETI K, and each one of us has it. So every time they get into trouble with the law, they don't recognize jurisdiction because they're with my straw man. You're not dealing with the real flesh and blood, wawo. You're dealing with big W, big A, and I'm on to you. That's
yeah. So that capital letter indicates it's a straw man. Is a term they use. They don't mean it. They don't mean it in the way we use it in arguing against a straw man. They mean something a little different here. But let's watch
in the state of Tennessee, in Knoxville Police Department. A group of thugs, a group of ruds. Read my notice right there, sir. Read my notice.
So they'll give cops and judges handwritten notices frequently. And a lot of times it'll say something like, you owe me such and such amount of money for detaining my person or using my private property or something like that. Have you seen these handwritten notices?
Yep, handwritten notices. They it's actually called paper terrorism. They clog. So sob sits want to. Oh, sorry, he doesn't know what's going on. This cop, he's like, he's trying to call his supervisor. The idea is to delay, distract, and written notes. They use particular language in these notes where they don't use. They say, "I'm a human being. I'm not a person." Believe me, it's very, very particular. There's no mistakes in what they're writing.
So there's an example of one on the screen.
Yep.
This was actually in the Sports Illustrated multi-piece article online that I was cited in. The reporters called me and talked to me. And so this is on a comment card. They got these little notes, and they provided this to the Green Bay Police Department after the arrest in December. But look at it. Please rate your level of service. 1, poor. So the cops, I guess they're not going to leave these cops a tip unless it's maybe the tip of the thumb. The date of the visit. Reason for visit. Stolen property. So they carry these things on them. I guess. And then they'll say, required assistance at the front window. Please rate your level of service. 1. So this let's see, let me make this a little bit bigger. Now this is from a different case, but we're gonna get into this. I'm gonna blow this up. This is wild. Watch what it says here. The public servants, police, are in possession of my pistol, extra magazine, phone, headphones, something, flashlight, and multi-tools. So they're saying that they have their private property. Ryan DeSmith left this. Maybe contact you to obtain further info. Yes. Reason for visit, pick up private property. The public servants are very rude, insubordinate to the public. Hey, a lot of times they are. Hey, Ryan, look, man, I know what you're saying. A lot of these cops are. I wish I could leave them a comment card that had some weight to it. So again, I kind of like the idea of, sometimes sticking the thumb in the eye, as long as it's not biting off the thumb. But unfortunately, it's delusional, it seems. Let's play this clip here. And so this is around the time, I think, where he bites off his thumb.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
there's a real risk there. I mean, some of it's really tongue-in-cheek. It's funny, but what we're seeing more and more is this now. The statistics vocab for law enforcement that have been killed are huge. They're climbing. They're climbing.
Well, let's take a look at that. So I got a little PDF presentation. Let's take a look at this. We're going to play some more video by sovereign citizens, okay? That was a Hebrew Israelite who was a sovereign citizen. We got at least 2 more Hebrew Israelite sovereign citizens. But this is going to be kind of broader, this next thing we're going to go to. So what is the sovereign citizen movement? We talked about, men making their own money, making their own identification and stuff like that. And what they're saying is because if you use their stuff, then you're going to give this fictional entity weight. So you can't do that. You can't act as if this imaginary thing is real or they can get you. So let's find out what the sovereign citizen movement is. And here's why we're talking about this today. I guess I should say the reason why this is going down. This picture in the top right-hand corner shows Ryan DeSmith, Jordan Salmi, and Kabir, who are all members of Straightway Tennessee. That's Charles Dallas Hebrew Israelite organization in Tennessee, right? And interesting, that guy that got pulled over was also in Tennessee. Now, I'm not saying he was associated with it or anything like I don't know. But so these folks are in Tennessee. Well, let me rephrase that. Dow's organization is based in Tennessee. This court case happened in Wisconsin, hence the thumbnail of this video. There's Kabir, who has been on this program to discuss various things. and he's talking with Ryan there, and Ryan's the one in the courtroom, and they're in that picture as well. Here's the judge, and here's why we're talking about this. There's a program apparently on A&E called Court Cam. Court Cam. This is season 5, episode 4, and it just came out in April of last year. But what happened is they finally put the video on YouTube. So the video from this, now we can watch these guys in court. And we can actually see what they said, because this just popped up on the internet 2 weeks ago. Even though this is old news, the footage is new that we're going to show here. Now, I want you to get to know Jordan a little bit. And this is his Facebook. I hope I don't get a comment card for this, but it's public. And I did actually reach out to Jordan, in case everyone's wondering. I asked him and Ryan, would you like to come on? They didn't respond. But I'm going to try to check my messages, or if you guys are watching this, someone from Straightway, message me in the comment section, and I'll see what I can do, okay? So this is his wedding. I'm not showing his wife. I'm showing the men there. He's over there on the right, you can see. And there he is with the brothers from Straightway. Now, these are Hebrew Israelites. So if your understanding of Hebrew Israelites is that they're only black, well, you don't really understand Hebrew Israelites. Now, can it be called Black Israelism? Yes, because that's the center of the thing. But they're not only, and some of these congregations are very mixed. Straightway is probably the most mixed of them all. So you are seeing somewhat of an anomaly when you see Straightway. But nonetheless, these are still Hebrew Israelites. To be honest, they're probably more Pentecostal than they are Hebrew Israelite. You know, they don't have it drive at the same level. Now, they're still very unhealthy. Don't get me wrong. But we're going to look at this. And, you know, they have fun. They're good people in a certain manner of speaking. So if you look, Jordan's got a belt here. And the belt is a Straightway on it. And apparently they have some kind of Hot Wheel racing competition, and Jordan won it. So congratulations for winning that. You know, I like to have fun too, so that's nice. Here's Ryan. And he says he's with the brethren at Praiseland there. And there's Ryan over there. It's kind of hard to see in the corner. And he's with Charles Dow. So that's Charles Dow right there. I put my see him? That's Dow right there. Though I just had my image over him. And usually you would think of a Hebrew Israelite of a certain kind striking these poses, but that's what I'm telling you. Straightway things are a little bit different. So there they are. And Praiseland is a place in Tennessee. So these guys, Jordan, Ryan, and to a certain extent Kabir, to a lesser extent Dow, even though he's the driver behind everything, they're going to be involved with some video we're going to show later. And so I'm just letting you know this is a very real thing. These guys adhere to the sovereign citizen movement, okay? Now, let's look. Do we agree with everything SPLC says? No. Can you see this, warrior woman? Are you able to see what's on your screen?
Yeah, I sure can.
Are you able to read it? Are you able to read it?
Okay, so we've got the sovereign movement was started in the mid-1960s by a group of white supremacists and neo-Nazis in Southern California. Nestled into the various sovereign legal theories are subtle references to everything from Holocaust denial and anti-Semitic conspiracies to slavery apologist myths. Considering that African Americans have been joining the movement in large numbers for the last 3 years, this lack of historical context is troubling. And that's exactly what I was going to comment on, yeah.
Yeah, so this is from JJ McNabb. She does work for the SPLC. She does work for them. But she is an expert in these matters. So this is from a series of articles she wrote called The Clive and Bundy Standoff, where she talks about that, and there she defines it. Gives a little bit of the history there, okay? And from what I've been able to tell, what she's saying is correct there. So now let's read a little bit from the article, okay? Are you able to read this? I know it's a little smaller. Are you able to read that?
Yeah, I'll give that a go.
Okay, give it a go.
They could be dismissed as a nuisance, a loose network of individuals living in the US who call themselves sovereign citizens and believe that federal, state, and local governments operate illegally. Some of their actions, although quirky, are not crimes. The offences they do commit seem minor, including regularly false number plates, driver's licenses, and even currency, as we said earlier. However, a closer look at sovereign citizens' more severe crimes, from financial scams to impersonating or threatening law enforcement officials, gives reasons for concern. If someone challenges, for example, a standard traffic stop for false license plates, their ideology, the behaviour of these sovereign citizen extremists, quickly can escalate to violence. Since 2000, lone offender sovereign citizen extremists have killed 6 law enforcement officers. So it's not as benign as we think. And in 2010, 2 Arkansas police officers stopped sovereign citizen extremist Jerry Kane and his 16-year-old son during a routine traffic stop on Interstate 40. Joseph Kane jumped out of the vehicle, opened fire with an AK-47 assault rifle, killing both officers. The sovereign citizen threat likely will grow. Geez, I sound like a newsreader. as the national movement is fueled by the internet. And that's true. The economic downturn played a big role, and seminars held across the country that spread their ideology and show people how they can tap into funds and eliminate debt through fraudulent methods, which we talked about with how everyone's got their little account. As sovereign citizens' numbers grow, so do the chances of contact with law enforcement, and thus the risks that indicate will end in violence. Law enforcement and judicial officials must understand the subset movement, be able to identify indicators, and know how to protect themselves from the group's threatening tactics.
Thank you very much. I'm going to read just this little bottom part. It's very short. FBI considers sovereign citizens extremists compromising a domestic terrorist movement, which scattered across the United States has existed for decades, with well-known members such as Terry Nichols, who helped plan the Oklahoma City, Oklahoma bombing. So there are some bad apples. Like you said, it's not all benign. And that article is from the Clive, I believe it's from the Clive and Bundy one. Yeah, let me see. Yeah. Featured article, sovereign. Oh, no. It's from LEB. Sorry. I see it. Sovereign citizens, a growing domestic threat to law enforcement. That's what it is. Okay, there we go. All right, on with my little PDF I created here. Sorry I didn't send it to you, Marcia.
No, that's all right.
Here's her definition. Again, J.J. McNabb, who is considered the expert on this and everything I've read, even though I don't agree with her liberal politics or anything like that. I used to follow her on Twitter. She does know what she's talking about in this area. Sovereign movement defined: a loosely knit. Actually, could you read that? I think that works for the accent, and that way I can multitask. If you can read that, please.
Well, as long as you can guarantee me a job as a newsreader, I'll read it for you. Sovereign movement. A loosely knit group that subscribes to a complex system of bizarre legal theories, and they are bizarre. They believe that the current US government is an illegitimate sham, and in the most extreme situations, they're willing to resort to violence when the courts and government agents don't agree with their schemes.
Yeah, and that's the problem. Shout out to Purely Grounded, by the way. Great support. We really appreciate you, Purely Grounded, for the first super chat of the day. I know there was another gentleman I think it was a gentleman. I know Purely Grounded is not a gentleman. Sorry, I'm getting everyone confused here. Who said he had given a super chat to a question I didn't answer earlier. I don't know. Let me know. And Angelo Antonio says, vocab, so this may be off topic, but I just wanted to see. I don't know if this relates to sovereign citizen. Let me know if it does, Angelo. Angelo Antonio says that a family member joined the 12 Tribes cult. Now she's pregnant. We can't see the baby. Can you do videos on this real cult? They have weapons, suicide pacts, etc. Can you tell me more about 12 Tribes cult? Are those the hippie white folks? If it's not, then that might be a different group called House of David, not the House of David of the Israelites, but a different one. Or is that the old 12 tribes from way back in the day? You got to let me know a little bit more there. Okay, here we go. People have similar beliefs to Hebrew Israelites, more extreme. Majority are white and Asian, and they are located from something to Cali. All right, I'll try to see what's up with them. I don't know a lot about them, but thank you. Oh, why did it just do that? Now it's just a second. Got to bring this PDF back up. So, Dinu, have you seen any comments that we should address? I don't think I saw any. Just want to make sure in case we did. Did I just say, do you know? I'm sorry. Warrior Woman, do you see any comments that we should address?
Well, I'll answer. I'll be DNU for a day. I don't mind.
It's
Um,
just because I
think
saw it in the
we
live chat.
got. I like to shout out Doki Bible Club because you, my friend, are amazing. You gift everybody memberships, which really helps the channel. Guys, just quickly, because I'm never on this end, can I just say, I know you see us mods always saying, the channel relies upon Patreon, relies upon, it's not little, like this channel does really rely on all of our support. So thank you, Doki. Your comment was Court Cam on Hulu features several SOVSIT cases and everyone loses. Yes. Not for lack of trying, but this is the irony of all of this, guys. The words sovereign and citizen is an oxymoron. Back in the day, sovereign was like, you're for king and country, right? No, other way around. Citizen, you're for king and country. And the sovereign part is the free part. The two words put together, in a sense, that's why a lot of SOVSITs now are going, it doesn't work, just call me sovereign, just call me free. So it's changed. But yes, all the court channels, as Dean, you and I can attest to, we're seeing hundreds of these tactics. Hundreds. Just trying to think if there's any other comments.
No, just I put a couple on the screen. But the history, I did look into it, and I even have a book I've been reading. Really good book, actually. Again, a lot of these scholastic academic types have left kind of leftish politics, and this sometimes will show up, but that doesn't mean they can't do good work in some of the areas. So this is a book I've been reading called Conspiracy of Conspiracies, How Delusions Have Overrun America, Thomas Milan Konda. And he has an interesting section here on the sovereign citizens, the Christian identity movement, and the Anglo-Israelites. And it is true that one of the founders of this apparently is this Christian identity preacher, which is a racist movement, by the way, William Potter Gale, one of the primary founders of Posse Comitatus. And interestingly enough, some of the extreme Mormons, this is more old school, and they're ones who have broken off from the main Salt Lake City branch. But some of the kind of Mormon extremists, now they're in a far minority, and they live usually not in Salt Lake City. Usually they're pretty anti-Salt Lake City in a variety of ways. A lot of them apparently, some of them, especially I guess more historically, have also been involved with this. And in fact, if you watch the show on Hulu with Andrew Garfield, Banner Under the Banner of Heaven or whatever, it gets a little bit into some of this stuff because they were along those ideas. And I think the guy ended up getting in trouble partially for some tax stuff because of it. So there is a sordid history. Now let's talk a little bit about what's believed here by these folks. What is a sovereign citizen? They're self-described, meaning that's the way they view themselves by this certain thing. They believe they're answerable only to common law, not subject to any statutes, federal, state, or local, do not recognize U.S. currency, free of any legal restraints, and reject most forms of taxation as illegitimate. Does that about cover it?
Yeah, so just think about common law. When you think about common law, think about the law of the land as we, the people, interpret it, okay? They think, when you'll see them go into court and you'll see them say, this is admiralty law because you guys have the gold frills around the flag, things like that. That's a very particular sovereign tactic. They'll say, you're still under admiralty law or maritime law. They don't believe we're really under common law.
Yeah, the video you sent me of the Hebrew Israelite who's talking like for 59 minutes, he totally got into all that stuff. That's exactly what he was saying. So listen, my understanding of this is lesser than Warrior Woman's, so it's provisional, but I've tried to put together some resources to at least teach you guys a little bit about it. And hopefully you never run into it. But if you do, you'll know something about it. Hopefully is the idea. And let's see here. Let's talk about some more of this. Sovereign ideology. Is it anarchist? I would say it gets mighty close to being anarchist. They differentiate between state citizen, 14th Amendment U.S. federal citizen, and claims state republics existed before the 14th Amendment. Remember that guy in the beginning video was saying, no, of the Tennessee Republic? I don't know if you guys caught that. As a citizen of a state republic, they were fraudulently incorporated into U.S. federal citizenship by the 14th Amendment. Is that about right, Marcia?
Yep. The fact that, when the whole slaves being freed things meant that, I think, correct me if I'm wrong, but when slaves were freed, then people were allowed to be citizens, right? But black people, but this is why I find it highly interesting that we've got a lot of African American people coming into this movement, because it's at its very roots, I'm not going to say anti-black, but it denied full citizenship to people of colour. So that's exactly right. They think at the 14th Amendment, when that took place, that's when all the government, the secret government, came in, basically.
Right. So
yeah, it's got anti-Semitism too.
You guys getting the picture? They do not recognize law enforcement authorities. You can tell by that first encounter. That's why we showed that video first. So here's some key sovereign citizen buzzwords and phrases. And a lot of these you heard in that first video. Indigenous, El Bay. Now that, I think that has to do more with Moors, but you'll see that a lot of times because there is somewhat of an association with the Moors. Of course, the term sovereign itself. Of course, everyone should know I'm a Calvinist, so I actually like the term sovereign, but it applies to God. De facto or de facto government. Where is your oath of office? Remember, he was asking him, do you stand on your oath of office?
Oh,
Domicile. Traveling in a commercial capacity. I think I put 2 L's in there. My bad on the misspelling. Who is the victim? Do you guys remember he was saying that right there in the beginning? Non-resident alien, aboriginal, and conveyance. Any others we should add to that list?
yeah, I think that covers it. That's the ones that you continually hear.
Yeah. So kind of like if you hear a Hebrew Israelite keep on saying the Most High or Yasharallah, it's or somebody, and then you're like, this person might be an Israelite. They got their own buzzwords as well. Okay, so let's look at this right here as far as growth patterns, and I think you mentioned this. Now, this is stuff that I culled from U.S. government agencies that's publicly available. I know someone's going to clip that and say I'm an agent and all that. I don't really care. But it's publicly available stuff. Publicly available stuff here. And apparently, some estimates, gosh, I just see another typo. Look at that. Approximately 100,000. That's what it's supposed to say. Hardcore sovereign believers. About 200,000 just starting out, so that gives you 300,000. They resist almost everything from speeding tickets to drug charges, as you can see in the beginning. Some U.S. government officials say sovereign citizen movement is growing faster than and is larger than the militia movement, which the government agencies call it a sister movement. That's not me saying that. That's what they say. Okay, they have their own ways to classify these things, and I am talking about primarily the U.S. government here, of course, as it says there on my slide. But the militia movement a lot of times gets more attention, generally speaking, because it's sort of more in your face. It's kind of more militant, for lack of a better word. And apparently it's growing in AU as well. Australia.
Yeah. I think you guys can all remember Melbourne, or you guys say Melbourne. We say Melbourne. That was just a joke during lockdown. This is why it's not a monolith. You can't just say one sovereign citizen. In other words, there's no head. There's no head organization. You can get, apparently the numbers go right up to 500,000, but that is correct at 100,000 hardcore. These are the ones ready to do violence that you've got to be frightened of. But let's just say with the anti-vax, because our governments let's be honest, they kind of forced our hand with vaccinations, and the protests, all sorts of things that happened, a whole new generation, and I say 20-year-olds, 19-year-olds has been born into this sovereign movement. And I keep saying it's not benign because it starts out little, but there is a militant faction to it. There really is. And It's when they start really getting into the Darrell Brooks, which vocab will show you. When you get to that point where you're willing to represent yourself in court, they're going to pull all of these tactics in. But I'll wait till we get to that point.
Yeah, we may have somebody from Dowd's group here. Hebrew Israelites are a people. Straightway is a ministry, but the ministries serve Yah, as most Hebrew Israelite ministries. It's the Yah that kind of gives it away, because that's something that the Dow and his people use. They're all about the Most High Yah. Okay, let's give some examples here. These are specifically going to be from the United States, North Carolina. And there's a couple different groups I'm actually going to name, okay? These are sovereign citizen organizations or groups. Again, these ones that I'm going to name are specifically in North Carolina. Ouachita Nation, which I believe is primarily black in its membership. Carolina Liberty and NCAR, which are primarily white. And I think Ouachita Nation specifically, they claim to occupy United Nations seat 215. So these folks will act as if they're government agents or officials for some nation. Oftentimes, they'll utilize fraudulent birth certificates, IDs, vehicle registrations. Sometimes are involved in fraud schemes, such as putting liens against people's property, and they don't realize it until later. They'll announce members' court dates online. A lot of times I'll hear them refer to them as events. And I guess this is somewhat like to intimidate people involved. Challenge legit government authority, of course, and initiate. Oh, let me get this off the screen. Sorry, it's in the way there. My bad. They'll initiate lawsuits and liens against officers. Remember, that guy was like, "You will be sued." You know, that's kind of that's a common thing. You know, there's a flurry of paperwork a lot of times involved with this. And some things that they'll do here is revoke and rescind their U.S. citizenship. They'll try to remove any evidence of U.S. citizenship by relinquishing their social security number, their driver's license, their car registration, their marriage license, their voter registration, and their birth certificate. I've even heard them say, "I didn't consult to the name that my parents gave me. That's just the name I'm called, but I never consented to that. I never consented to that." And I guess that's true. I didn't consent to the name my parents gave me, but I don't know. There's just so many odd arguments. So here's some strange and common responses you might hear from a sovereign citizen. They'll say this: "No, not personally." They'll produce homemade IDs, etc. They'll say it's unconstitutional to ask for the driver's license. The guy in the beginning said that. The picture on the driver's license, a lot of times they will say it's not them because it's not a human, non-breathing extraterrestrial. They may identify self as an official of the state, and be generally uncooperative. And unfortunately, sometimes some of these guys, as Warrior Woman mentioned, violent. Now, what are some things you'll see on their paperwork a lot of times? These are indicators. An @ symbol or a copyright symbol after the name. Names in all caps. That means it's fictional, I guess. Punctuation before surname, because that has to do something like when you're dead. I didn't fully understand their explanation on that one. Initials after the name, Sir Jewish of one's own law. No zip code or brackets around zip code, because they'll say they're trying to put us in these codes and they don't want to be in those. They'll use employee ID number, EIN, instead of social security number. And they'll reference the Uniform Commercial Code, the UCC. I have, in my brief time studying this, I've actually heard all these things. They will sometimes get involved with housing scams. They'll seize for closed homes via phony documents. There's even some examples where they walk in people's houses while they're there, or while they're having work done on it or something. You know about these cases?
They actually know exactly how long to squat for.
Really?
As well. Yeah. Oh, no, on a very shallow level, you might not see this, but when you were talking about liens on homes and stuff, do you know who they do that to the most? When it gets really, really down and dirty, they start doing this to any government official that they perceive that has crossed them. Any government official that goes against SOVCIT stuff, they will actually put false liens on their homes. It's full on, and clog up the court system with it, with these type of writings.
And I guess that's why some government officials call it paper terrorism.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know if I'm a fan of that term, but I get it. Orthodox Moor, who does identify as a Moor, as you can tell by his name, says, been seeing a rise of sovereign citizen tactics among BHI. It was bad enough when there were Moorish sovereign citizens. Both are ignoring the scriptures, shaking my head. So some do have potential for violent acts. And by the way, you can see that shows you that, like I was saying, it's not, we never want to say you're Moor means you're a sovereign citizen. It's sort of a latecomer to the ideology. It's just become popular. Potential for violent acts sometimes, yeah. And it's usually, a lot of times, it's spontaneous violence during traffic stops, visits to residences. One of the worst cases was here West Memphis, Arkansas. Jerry Kane and his 16-year-old son, May 2010. Very, very tragic story. As well as Markeith Lloyd. Look up these names in the stories. There's a lot of horrible pictures of what happened with these shootouts and stuff. And this actually is part of the father-son sovereign citizen situation. And this was covered in some SPLC literature. But you can see this stuff online. There's a timeline and, of course, the car with the aftermath. Those two police officers actually did die in this altercation as well. There are extreme examples. This guy right here, David Allen Bruche. Except he has now renounced his sovereign citizen stuff. So once identified as a sovereign citizen, ex-convict pleaded guilty to conspiring to kidnap Vegas police. Told a Nevada judge February 12, 2014, he no longer adheres to anti-government philosophy. Prosecutors say spurred the plot. This was at a justice court, Regional Justice Center in Las Vegas. I've heard some of these guys, because you know it says superior court, they'll say at the inferior court.
Oh, haven't heard that.
Yeah, they like to say that. These are some examples of sovereign citizen paperwork that they flood the system with. We don't have time to look at all of this, but you can find examples of this stuff online. And here's a sovereign citizen meme. Pulled over today with no license plate or registration, new tags. So this guy, this is a meme saying, this is cool, it worked out, check it out. In fact, someone in the live chat, Revolutionary Sword, says, I've been traveling in my automobile, notice that, without a license for 2 years now. Revolutionary Sword, I hope nothing bad happens to you. I don't even know what advantage you get from not having it on your person or in your pocket. Do you believe if you carry it, that in some way it'll put you into the system or make it seem like you consent to a contract? Help me understand. So these are example of the sovereign citizen tags. Exempt, no license or registration required. Consumer goods, private property. Revolutionary Sword, do you have something like this similar in your car? Because and you're saying you don't have a driver's license for your automobile that you travel in, but what about tags and registration? What's your thought on that? He says yes, so I guess he does. Does it look something like this? So here's some examples. Lawfully, no driver's license or insurance required, not for commerce use, private mode of travel. So these are some of the examples that these folks will have. Have you ever seen these, Warrior Woman?
In all honesty, not in Australia often. I mean, per capita, we've got way less. But all the time when I watch the law enforcement pulling people over, usually they're not as sophisticated. Usually it's just cardboard written. Like you said, they carry these things around. I actually think that there's many who aren't just doing this as an ideology, but are itching for it. You get different types. There are people that are wanting, they're itching, they've got their camera ready, waiting to be pulled over by law enforcement. They're the ones that have these little signs ready.
Okay, yeah, they're like, it's like you practice your whole life. You're ready for the
practice,
game.
Yeah.
Yeah, because
exactly.
you know, game time. I'm speeding on purpose. All right, let's see here what else we got. These are examples, Warrior Woman, of some of their driver's license. International and forms of identification. So they'll make their own here. This says international rights of travel, and they'll just carry that around. And state of Alabama. Diplomatic agent.
I haven't seen that one. Diplomatic agent. That's a new one to me.
And here's another one. This is it's a travel warrant. It's a travel warrant. Now look, I'm libertarian in my opinion of the government, meaning I believe smaller government is better and helps the citizen prosper. But that's not anarchy, because unfortunately, even with us understanding small government is best. That way you don't consolidate power in one place, because whenever you do that, you always get corruption and all kinds of other problems. You have to have some forms of regulation. And that's sort of the trade-off is, okay, we're living in this mutual society. We can, at least in our society, ostensibly consent to be governed. It's supposed to be we the people is the idea. And then you have some trade-offs, like here's as much freedom as safe as is possible. So, for example, insurance, I mean, that's to protect people that you bump into, and yourself as well when you get bumped into. For example, diplomatic agent, you better be careful with that. Well, this is common stuff. Oh, Revolutionary Sword says, I have 2 videos where the police stopped me. And again, I hope you're okay, Revolutionary Sword. We don't hope anything bad for you. We don't agree with your philosophy, but we're always willing to learn more about it. I hope you understand. So please do share. And I hope that none of this gets you in trouble, bro, for real. But if you're saying you put videos out, let us see what you got. Okay, so continuing on here, looking at this. And one day I'm going to learn how to get my PowerPoints regulated where the screen can be in the same place the whole time. But I haven't figured it out yet, so I'm still learning. Trying to improve presentation here. FBI classifies sovereign citizens among domestic terror threats as anti-government extremists. Not sure if I agree with that, but that's what they do. Sovereigns file retaliatory bogus property liens. May not be discovered by victim until they attempt to sell property. See, that's messed up. If you're a sovereign citizen and you do that kind of stuff, you're messed up, and I hope you get what's coming to you in the sense of the law being brought down upon you, because it's basically that's involved in thievery at that point. File fake tax forms to ruin credit rating, cause audit by IRS. That's real messed up. This kind of petty paperwork they do against enemies. Some of the stuff I know I'm trying to be understanding, but some of the stuff pisses me off. I mean, come on. Your sense of justice got to get riled up about some of this stuff. Several states passed laws aimed at these tactics in the mid-1990s. For example, Georgia's governor signed a law that will make it a felony to file fraudulent liens against public officials or employees in 2013. Well, what about the rest of us? So I hope they do that for everybody there. And that's actually an example of the law there from Georgia. And if you're wondering why a lot of my stuff is from Georgia and North Carolina, the reason is because some of the sources from where I got this, so I'm showing you the sources, and these are publicly available presentations online. From Ken Bramlett's 2013 presentation from the Georgia Department of Health. And he did that was something he did. And so he had Georgia-specific stuff. And there was also a sovereign citizens overview for the GPD Criminal Intelligence Squad review from 2011. So you've seen some examples of this. And in fact, I remember when I was down there in Florida for a conference on urban apologetics, and the Hebrew Israelites had made them some threats about towards this conference, like they were going to show up and do something. The organizers were aware, so they hired the cop or so to be security. And the cop was like, "Can you tell me, explain to me who these guys are looking for? Like, what's the problem you guys are anticipating?" And I tried to explain it a little bit. And I was like, "I don't think there's going to be a problem. I think it's just online talk, but I appreciate the pastors being concerned. I get it. They're congregant safety." And then he started asking me some questions about sovereign citizens. And I didn't know a lot about it. It was interesting to this cop. This is back in 2017 or something like that. The cop was talking about, maybe it's 2017, maybe 2016. But I was like, I thought that was interesting. It looks like he had some basic training in it from the discussion that we had. But I'm going to show some video there. But Marcia, Warrior Woman, what else do people need to know that maybe wasn't covered in that presentation I just gave?
When you were reading that, I was thinking, because I'm a bit like you. There's a libertarian side to me. I have sort of like an admiration for people that will take the time to stand up for themselves. But there's a very big difference. This is what I find hard to swallow. I like the sovsits that will, at a very base level, say, you know what, government, you're overreaching. What I have a problem with is I always ask people, you reject the jurisdiction, you reject law enforcement, you challenge everything. Who are you going to call if your house is on fire? So my thing is the hypocrisy. It's like, you can't take it or leave it. You know, you're either going to go through with this, and that's why when we saw what's his name, Kabir, right?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And he was there in court. I had some respect for that. You know why? He came with his guys.
Yeah.
If
He
you're
did
going
show
to do
support,
this, he showed support. You know, if you're going to do it, own it. But I don't like these half, oh, you know, I'm going to yell at the police. I'm going to keep my window just a smudge. But you know what? If my daughter needs something, I'm calling the cops tonight. And this is what we saw with people like this Darryl Brooks. You know, it's all tough in court. So I would say this, it's not a monolith. There's a big, big sliding scale. I can respect it on many levels until it gets to the level of hypocrisy. And then it's like, dude, you're going to be the first person to reach out for help. You're carrying a proof of age card in your wallet. You're probably carrying a real license, but you're telling everyone you don't. There's just so much hypocrisy around it. That's all. And like you said, Vocab, once it gets violent, I'm out. Yeah, I'm out.
Yeah, I
Once you get
agree.
mean, I'm out.
And sometimes, you know, you look at some of these cases where these guys are using these sovereign citizen tactics to defend themselves. Sometimes it's in very reprehensible cases like child molesting. And so, because I've seen some of this and some of this, we're looking into this. Or Darryl Brooks, the guy who bought into some basic Hebrew Israelite tenets and just ran over people, children, everything else. In fact, can someone drop the link? I think it's actually, I got it right here. Hebrew Israelites in the news, I think. Let me see where that link is. Yeah, Hebrew Israelism in the news. Let me go ahead. We covered the Darryl Brooks a little bit before. So let me drop that in there. Check out the Darryl Brooks portion of that show. Carol B says there was a guy on YouTube who would play sovereign citizen bingo with videos of police interaction with these nutcases. Very funny. That sounds funny. So like you might have a card and it would say like, this is my guess, I haven't seen it, but like indigenous, public oath, maritime, you know, republic. And then when they say it, you do a bingo to get bingo.
Oh,
do you guys play
wow.
bingo in Australia?
Yeah.
What else do you guys play over there?
I'm probably giving away my age, but I've been to bingo with my grandmother.
Oh, okay.
What's the other one called? Oh no, it's the same form of bingo. You know, do you do that? Legs 11, and each number's got its little funny saying.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
before you move off Darryl Brooks.
Yeah.
Sorry, go ahead.
I can play the video.
Oh, good, because he encompasses everything. He is the sovsit poster boy.
Ranking Bears number, please.
So this isn't Darryl Brooks. Just let me get this video lined up here.
I need to see your...
So I'm going to get this video lined up. Give me a second. Why do you say he's the poster child for sovereign citizen stuff?
Okay, so what happened was with him, if I'm pronouncing it correctly.
Go ahead. I'm going to let you finish. You're breaking up a little bit.
Oh, sorry, yeah. So the Waukesha Christmas parade, Darryl Brooks ran over purposefully because he was annoyed with his girlfriend. He ran over 68 people, killing 6, including a little 8-year-old kid. He did present himself at the last minute, pro se, they say. This judge, when you watch this in your own time, because clip, this judge is now the poster woman for the way that she handled his sovsit nonsense was with absolute poise and grace. He uses every example in the book. He talks about, he says things like,
I do not agree to be dressed by that name.
Yep. Consent. Sovsits think if they say, I do, that it has a huge impact, not in a legal court. He also says things like, are you an injured party? Now, fancy this. He got to, on the stand, he got to examine. He ran over with his fought escape. And he said
Ugh.
things to them like this. He actually got them there and said, so are you bringing the claim against?
I
And
can't.
it was a lot. It was a lot. But
I can't.
he used everything.
So this guy, you know, we pray for his salvation, but we pray that justice is done. And this is, you know, Genesis 9:6 is enough for me to believe in the death penalty. But when you hear and see this, I don't know how people cannot say death penalty should be a reality.
All right, thank you. The jury can come on out.
So we're not going to address this civil matter?
No.
So she's calling in the jury. It starts right away. We're not going to address this civil matter.
I was told to pay for something under a civil statute.
Mr. Brooks, I am not the custodian. Bring it up with the clerk of court.
How
I'm
can
not
I bring
addressing
it up
it.
with the clerk of court? How am I supposed to do that? So that makes me wonder if it's a
Mr.
civil
Brooks,
case.
the jury's coming out. I'm not going to
it's-
address your request
if
for
it's
open
civil-
records.
if it's civil,
I'm not
then
the
it needs to
custodian
be-
of the record.
This guy's always standing up in this case. All the time he stands up. I notice this. Guy loves to stand up. Guys, just understand this guy's a cold-blooded killer. And yes, he was a Hebrew Israelite. Now, was he in a camp? No. Was he consistent in his Hebrew Israelism? No. Was it a base level buying into the basic ideas of Hebrew Israelism along with some other stuff mixed in? Yes. And that's why Hebrew Israelism is dangerous. You get folks like this who buy into it.
Being sued. My Sesty Trust is being sued.
See that?
Civil-
Cessna Trust.
What'd he say?
That he just said it. He said it incorrectly because he can't pronounce it. But he was saying, "Is my Sesty Trust being sued?" What he's talking about is SETI K. He's talking about his little trust that the government. So he's trying to say, "Are you suing my trust?" Right.
Like the money that he has or something?
So the money that the government's secretly trading of ours, connected to our birth certificates, he's saying, you know what? Sue that trust. Take it out of that. And he often says things like, I'll settle this now, Your Honour. Take it out. I accept for value and return for value. That's a big sob-sit thing. He's saying...
This is something I almost want to just have a baseline understanding of. So let's watch Daryl
My
Brooks here.
Sesty Trust is being sued. Civil is a
Mr.
civil
Brooks, this
matter.
is an irrelevant matter that you're attempting to bring up in the presence
If it
of the
was-
jury. The
I
record
was
should
not. I was
reflect
trying to
these
bring it up
interruptions.
before the jury came out, Your Honor.
And I told you I wasn't going to address it. Please.
Okay, so it's a civil matter. Who's being sued? My Sesty Trust? Because how can I be
Mr.
sued?
Brooks, you're talking
How can I be sued? Bro, you killed people. You ran them over. Like, what? What is this?
about an irrelevant matter between you and the
It
clerk
wasn't,
of court.
it wasn't irrelevant
So-
when I got the paperwork from the clerk of courts. I was simply
Mr.
trying
Brooks,
to address it.
I'm not going to address it. The jury will
So I'm
disregard
being
these
sued.
irrelevant
This is a civil
comments.
matter. We haven't addressed subject
All
matter
right, thank you,
jurisdiction yet at all
everyone.
either.
Please be seated. The jury
So
will
we're not gonna
disregard the
address subject
statements
matter?
Mr. Brooks is making about subject matter jurisdiction. They are a misstatement of the law.
Yes. No,
All right,
they're not.
and
just like this is a civil case.
Mr. Brooks, the jury's here. Please
Just like
show
this is a civil
respect
case,
and decorum.
According to this document, this is a
Mr.
civil
Brooks,
case,
please stop.
which means someone is being sued. Civil is a suit.
Mr. Brooks, you're talking about an irrelevant
I
matter.
have the
I'm
paperwork
starting
sent
the
by the clerk
trial.
of courts right here that says it's a civil matter.
Mr. Brooks
So
has
what's
nothing
being
to
sued?
do with
My
this
Session
case.
Trust is being sued.
I have no idea what you're talking about. So,
I got the paperwork right here.
all right, I'm
How
going
do
to
you
excuse
not know
the
what I'm
jury
talking
right
about?
now, given this.
This, I gotta pause. It's gonna drive everyone crazy. This is a New York Post article. Daryl Brooks shared pro-Hitler memes, called for violence against white people. What pro-Hitler meme? This article's for November 2021. If you follow this channel for a while, what meme would you guess he is sharing? What meme do you think that would be? In 2015, he also shared a disturbing anti-Semitic meme that appeared to align with the beliefs of the Black Israelites, according to another screenshot shared by the Daily Mail. It's this one, titled, Hitler Knew Who the Real Jews Were. Shares the widely debunked claim that the Nazi maniac had warned that his genocide was partly driven because he knew the, quote, Negroes are the true Hebrews. That's what Hitler supposedly said, according to Hebrew Israelites. I don't know why they love to use Hitler as a source. And guess what? He never said it. I have the book in which they claim he said it, and the page they say it's on does not have anything like the quote. It's mainly pictures on that page, ironically. A couple captions. And Hitler in this meme suggests that World War III would start when, quote, people will learn Hitler was right and did the world a favor by killing Jews. But there's no sourcing on this meme. You can investigate. You can see it. I've talked about it before, and that's why it's problematic. It's a lie. And this is what he shared. In fact, here is the screenshot from his social media right there, and he would go by Math Boy Fly. I covered this earlier, so I know I'm showing it real small on my phone, but I've already covered this. It's just somebody jumped in and said, was he a Hebrew Israelite? He embraced Hebrew Israelism. See, he embraced Hebrew Israelism and was clearly anti-Semitic. This was in November of 2012. He just ran those people over there in Wisconsin.
He also had on Twitter, he made reference before all of this to I won't use the real language, but let's knock white people out. So there was lots of little things he said.
He killed 6 people, including some old people and younger people. So this is, and now he's doing the sovereign citizen stuff in court. So no remorse, plus doing this
disruption. All rise for the jury.
This should be properly addressed before the jury even comes out. That's why I tried to properly address it before we even went on the record.
Mr. Brooks, stop.
I'm not gonna.
You are not being respectful to this proceeding or to this jury. No, it's not. With all due respect, stating that doesn't make it respectful.
I was given this paperwork by you.
That's like that classic thing where people are like, with all due respect, you're a freaking idiot. You know, just saying with all due respect. Just saying with all due respect doesn't make it respectful. She's pointing that out, which is funny.
Mr. Brooks,
Monica Paz.
Stop talking till the jury is out.
Okay,
thank you.
So why couldn't we address this before they came out?
I'm not going to address it. Bottom line.
That was the time to address it, though. We're supposed to do all the addressings before the jury comes out, before we start the matter.
Please be seated.
I was trying to simply address paperwork that was given to me by you, Your Honor. That states
Mr. Brooks.
You
have interrupted me repeatedly. You are on the verge of being removed to that courtroom. I don't want to do that. I want you to stay here. But you keep interrupting me and bringing up irrelevant matters. I told you yesterday, as a courtesy that was provided to you, so that you would frankly not complain that you didn't get it as quickly as possible. Okay, I am not the custodian of the records. If you have an issue with what was provided to you, how it was provided to you, then take it up with the clerk of court. But from now on, I am not going to be the messenger and give you documents that you request to the custodian of the records or from the custodian of the records. They will simply have to be delivered to you at the jail. But that is in response to your discussion or whatever we want to call it this morning. I'm not taking it up. All right, it is irrelevant.
It needed to be noted for the record.
Hold on real quick. IFU says he was with the camp. IFU, haven't seen you. Can you provide me with some evidence or knowledge? Why are you saying that Darrell Brooks was with the camp? I've always believed, people say that's not true, but whatever. Innocent until proven guilty in the sense of saying, oh, this guy was in the camp or something like that. IFU, how do you know he was in a camp? And that's like a big statement to make if that's true. And could you
I feel like the media, I feel, would have attached to that, don't you think?
Yes, but a lot of the media is unaware of what's really happening with people who embrace Hebrew Israelism. They kind of just get the basic stuff. A lot of times they only understand the anti-Semitic bits best and stuff like that. So I don't know, but I don't know who you are, IFU, but could you show us why you're saying that? I hope you haven't left. That would be breaking news if that's the case. So let us know what's up. All right, continue.
Doesn't need to be noted, sir. All right, the jury's coming back out, and I'm going to warn you, if you bring this up again, I will pause, and I will remove you to the next courtroom for being disrespectful, for being interruptive, for being disruptive, and for bringing up irrelevant matters in front of this jury. You will forfeit your right to be present for the direct examination of this witness.
I object to that.
Did you hear what I said, sir?
No, I did not. I object to that, Your Honor.
Well, you can
And
object, and your objection is noted. But if you
For the
interrupt
record-
when this jury
for
comes
the
out,
record-
they will go. I will have them taken out again, and you will be removed to the next courtroom.
You can't. What is the legal basis for that ruling, Your Honor?
Illinois versus Allen, sir, and all of the
And-
other cases that
and
I've
it
Real quick, Jason Brown says he used to be in this movement and still has all his paperwork from the movement. Jason Brown, are you a Christian? Because I know sometimes, Jason, that believers get caught up in this because they'll say, well, only Christ is king. He's the only sovereign one, which is true. But that doesn't equal sovereign citizen ideology. It seems like maybe Lord led you to that reality. I'd love to hear more about your testimony, Jason Brown, coming out of the movement either way. Praise God for
I
that.
did previously. I'll make the appropriate record. Stop interrupting me. The jury's coming out. We're continuing with this trial despite your repeated efforts to disrupt.
That's a
Yesterday,
mischaracterization
sit
of the
down.
record.
Yesterday alone, sir, 17 interruptions, not including the opportunity that I gave you where you spent 15 minutes, okay, discussing what were primarily either irrelevant or baseless accusations and requests not based in law or fact. I was abundantly patient with you yesterday.
And you still haven't
And-
verified by proof any of what I
And
said.
none of
Your
that
Honor.
is required, sir.
Because
and
it is. You can't verify.
your
any proof.
belief
Where's
that
the
that's the
subject matter?
law
Where's the subject matter
doesn't make it
jurisdiction?
so, Mr. Brooks. Your belief that these are legitimate legal positions
They are.
doesn't change the law and doesn't make it so.
It's
So,
clearly
again,
relevant because you didn't want to.
I'm
address
going
it.
to step off and give Mr. Brooks 5 minutes to cool off,
I'm
and
not-
when that
I don't
happens,
need
I'm
to
bringing
cool
the
off.
jury
I'm
out,
not angry at all.
and then we will
I just wanted
continue.
to. I don't.
Dude,
Oh,
see that right there? He used
Yeah.
all of them vocab. He used distract, delay. That you would think that he's just ranting there, but that's very planned. So he used all the things we talked about. He's talking about he wants certified copies of the judge's oath of office. He wants certified copies of it. What he's trying to do is he's trying to delay, jam up the system, because guess what? Courts have to address every motion. She can't just wave it and go, oh, you know, what. So she can put it aside for a second, but the next day she comes in, she has to go through it. That's why she gave him 50 minutes in a different video to run through all his sob-sit nonsense. And that's exactly what he did. He ran through all of it.
Betsy
He's a
Roots
pro at this, man.
says more like she needs to cool off, LOL.
Right? That's the angriest she got in the whole trial.
She seems, I mean, all things considered, I mean, hats off to her.
Yeah, man.
For real. Mr. Brooks has to be timed out for 300 seconds. Texas
Right.
Chick says he got 7 life sentences. See, that's what I'm saying. The ludicrous nature of removing the death penalty, and then we give people 7 life sentences as a way to like make up for it. I just don't understand.
He got
That's
1,000
another-
years.
Yeah, see,
1,000 years.
That's just it's like, it reminds me of the scene of Return of the Jedi, except it's fiction. This is a serious issue where C-3PO, who's acting as Jabba's translator, because you know Jabba, he's all, and then C-3PO says, you will be brought to the Sarlacc pit, where you'll be digested over a period of 1,000 years. On second thought, let's pass on that. You know, I mean, my point is, the Sarlacc pit can't really digest you for 1,000 years. Even as a kid, I thought that was problematic. And it's like 1,000 years. Everyone knows. Well, okay, it's not gonna work there. You know what I mean? But
Yeah.
yeah, shout out to the live chat providing all the information. Let's look at this. We got a whiner here. Vocab was lying. This man was FBA. What's FBA? Let me know, Richard. In other words, he was with Tariq Arshi. Tell me more. I actually don't really know what you're talking about, Richard. If you're right, you're right. I never said he was with the camp. Someone was asking that. I said he wasn't. I just said he embraced elements of Hebrew Israelism. And that's what's going on with Hebrew Israelism. People take bits and pieces. So let's see if you can answer and explain what you're talking about there. Are we ready to move on to the main reason why we did this today? Are we ready for that?
Yep.
Oh, man, this show is going to go longer than I thought. That's all right. We'll have a little fun with this. I hope you guys are okay with it. If you want me to go a little longer and you're glad Warrior Woman's here for the first time, please send some super chats. Please get some channel memberships. Someone, please go to patreon.com/vocab and become a member. We need like 3 more to get 100. I know we had 100. I was saying this before. Well, people drop off. We need people to come back in. We like to maintain at least 100. It's very important. We're trying to get to 115 by the end of the year. Please do that. And also go to vocabmalone.com and grab an Urban Theologian shirt if you can do that. And if you can't do that, there's PayPal, which is the emails of vocabmalone@gmail.com. And we also got Cash App, which I have on the screen, Street Apologists. So for real, help out here, help out here, help out here. All right, let's see here. Oh, Doki Doki, gifting the Bible. Hey, Doki Doki, I need to be gifted a channel membership because I was a member of my own channel and then I dropped out of it because I had to cut some expenses, which I know sounds crazy, right? But it's true. It's very true. Somebody just subscribed or gave or something, a super chat. I got a notification, but I can't see what it's for. Okay, so let's click over to this. Let's watch the video first, I think. We're going to do that, okay? We're going to watch the video. So this is also in Wisconsin.
The jury can come on out.
The one we're about to watch. And shout out to Jason Brown. Sounds like I know the brother here. What do you know about this trial with these folks from Dow's group that made it on A&E? What do you know about Marcia? What do you know?
Oh, me?
Yeah. What do you know about it?
Oh, okay. All right. We know the two guys before. So basically, knowing why they're actually there, you mean? What got them to court?
Whatever you know about it. I know something about it, but I talk too much.
Okay, look, so basically, I think you guys remember Vocab did a show on Kabir.
Yes.
Part of Straightway, wasn't always. He originally started as a Muslim. Long story short, he ended up at Straightways, right? These two guys are also from the same Straightway. Mm-hmm. What happened was him and his wife, if I do this wrong, correct me, separated or divorced, one or the other. And the wife was taking the kids to a Christian Christmas pageant, right?
I think there were even participants. By the way, shout out to Benjamin Roberts for the super chat real quick. Thank you for responding. You get some love. So, yeah, they're at a church. Yeah. I believe it's an Assemblies of God church, and it's his
Assemblies
kids.
of God, yeah.
Yeah, and he sends two of the people in his ministry to the church, and they ask them to leave, and they're packing. They don't leave, and they get arrested, and this is their court case. Anything else?
And they were very quiet. They were like, they didn't say anything. They weren't being violent there. They were just sort of sitting, but people noticed that they looked too young to be parents, too old to be siblings. But Kabir claims that he only had them there to videotape the children. As we know, a lot of Hebrew Israelites don't believe in, obviously, Christmas the way we celebrate it. Pageants,
so he was saying, you're forcing my children to be involved in pagan idol worship.
Right. So apparently they were there to videotape. However, neither of them had a right to carry concealed weapon, and this is where they ended up. And they're using soft-sit tactics in court here.
And this is in Wisconsin again, hence the thumbnail. So even though Dow's organization is in Tennessee, this is going to be taking place in Wisconsin. And so this is Dave Smith first. Here we go. Let's watch this.
I don't understand what you're saying. I don't speak your language. I only speak man to man.
Next, we're in Green Bay.
What's that? Why they love saying that?
Man to man, yeah. So I don't speak your language. Who are you? What is this? So what soft-sits do is they ask questions. It's always answered with another question. They want the judge to say who they are. He's about to challenge jurisdiction. Yeah.
Yeah, okay. Here we go.
I don't understand what you're saying. I don't speak your language. I only speak man to man.
Next, we're in Green Bay, Wisconsin, where 22-year-old Ryan Desmith and 24-year-old Jordan Salmi are appearing on gun possession charges. 3 weeks earlier, the man attended a church Christmas pageant armed with loaded semi-automatic pistols. Desmith and Salmi are members of what's called the Hebrew Israelite community, along with former Green Bay Packer Kabir Baja Biamila, known as KGB. KGB was involved in a dispute with his ex-wife over his...
One thing that he did say was that his wife was making use of his personal property, because that's one of the ways that they refer to their children, is as their personal property.
Yes.
Yeah.
Religious objections to
So he actually sent the pastor a bill for use of his personal property.
their children appearing in the pageant. He asked the men to film the event in his absence for evidence. Desmith and Salmi refused to leave when church leaders asked. Police arrived and charged them both with disorderly conduct.
And they got a comment card that says they were not that great at their job. Or that.
Obstructing an officer and carrying a concealed weapon. Today, they're at the Brown County Court for a first appearance on the charges. And they're not going to make things easy for County Court Commissioner Cynthia Vopal.
You get my notice?
Your notice, sir?
I'm not a sir. You can have a seat.
He's talking about his notice of particulars, by the way. So
What does
that's
that
another
mean?
thing they do.
What's a notice of
Notice of
particulars?
It's like where he's outlined that he's representing himself. I'm a third party. I'm a human being. And the way she just says, yeah, sit down. She's onto it. She's obviously had others before. And the second guy won't fare any better either.
My goodness. I'm not a sir.
Seat, please.
Oh, wait. Everyone see his fringes? So this is why, yes, Hebrew Israelism was started by Black Americans, and yes, that's the dominant element of the religion. But since the key element is this idea of Israelism, you can have all kinds of people involved. And if you see a white person or whatever involved in Israelism, specifically Hebrew Israelism or Black Israelism style, not Anglo-Israelism, there's various ways they get there. Some are grafted in, like GOCC. Some are declared not to be white in the sense of European, but even though they look white, their bloodline goes back to Jacob, and the way that you know that is through their spirit, the vibes they give, like GMS and to a certain extent ISUPK. Others are considered spiritual Israelites, like they do at Dowell's congregation. And they'll kind of say, look, your spirit's like an Israelite. You guys might be Israelites, but if not, don't worry, you're grafted in and you're still keeping the law. So either way, you're kind of covered.
The notice that Desmith asks about is one of a series of handwritten notes he and Salmi filed, which
I gotta look at these. Notice. Hold on, let me make this big so I can see this. Notice to Mr. and Mrs. State of Wisconsin. Look what it says, everyone, on the screen. You got to zoom in on it. Will Mr. and Mrs. State of Wisconsin be joining us? Will they appear? Who is Mr./Mrs. State of Wisconsin? I wish to settle this matter in the private.
they're not part of the legal society. And
what is this about? I, man, am an idiot before the court and am not part of the legal society.
They apparently
man,
try
only
to
speak
put
man-to-man, layman's terms only. And it says, notice idiot.
I've never seen the idiot part, but I know that they say I man to man a lot because
That's why they say, Irie. Real quick, TKC, I know I see you saying in 1886, Hebrew Israelism started. That's not right. No bad on you. You'll find that on Wikipedia. Frank Cherry lied. He was only 11 years old in 1886. We have census records from 1920, 1930, 1940. Cherry lied. And I did a whole show on this. Maybe somebody can drop it in the live chat. The link that says Cherry Israelites. So we got to stop giving him credit, if we want to call it credit, because he did not start it in 1886 in Chattanooga, Tennessee. That is incorrect information based upon his propaganda. People just ran with it because they didn't know any better. Crowdy is second. William Christian is first. And I've also done a show on him. So we're not really talking about the history of Hebrew Israelism, but I have multiple shows on that. Reverend William Christian is first. He put his book out really early in the 1890s and says he has a vision in around 1889. But what's up with the idiot? What were you saying? Or what's up with this man? What is all that?
It would probably bore people. I won't go into why they see how they're using colons and stuff. It goes way back to a bit of confusion as well, obviously. But I believe the verbs are done in a certain way, They're basically, the best way to explain is they're trying to really, really drive home that I, a person, a human being, not a person, am not part of this society. I've never seen the idiot part before, I must say, why he's put that there. But man to man, layman's terms only, they all use it. All of them. Idiot, I'm not sure.
I saw a clip where it says Daryl Brooks is saying I am not an idiot, but I didn't watch it, so I don't know what's going on.
And the judge says back to him, I disagree. She didn't mean it like that, but it came.
Is that really what happened?
He basically was saying, listen, I'm not an idiot, because you've got to keep in mind, guys, that, like I said, if they're very suspicious of the government is not the real government, that they're using us. They also think that all lawyers, judges, and everyone in the legal department, that they know about it and that the farce and that they're committing treason. So this is why they treat judges like this. They think they're in on it. Yeah.
Wow. Let me see here. Here somebody says they know Doki Doki Bible Club. I remember you from the SFT channel years ago when Donnie said you put his kids through college with their generosity. Glad to see you're still at it. God bless you, sister. Well, Doki Doki, I didn't know you were a sister, and if that's true, that's pretty awesome. I don't know what's going on with that, but shout out, shout out, shout out. Okay, let's watch this. Continue on with this video.
Quote, idiots before the court. Their list of demands includes 300.
Respondent, my terms are as follows. 300,000 before placed upon my person. All flights canceled to New York. When my name pulls up, no arrest record bears against fellow man. No jail time. Redaction of I name in the new papers as a Black Hebrew Israelite. Isn't that fascinating?
Wow.
This is the perfect blend right here of like sovereign citizen stuff with Hebrew Israelism. Is this because look, he's saying, hey, don't say Black Hebrew Israelite. But he's also saying retraction of I name in the new newspapers. Well, they don't like
I
they don't
name
like
is
that.
instead of my name. Yeah. What? Yeah. They don't want to be known as Hebrew Israelites? No.
Well, no, it's the Black Hebrew Israelite. It's I think it's that element.
Oh, I see. Right.
Retraction that I am armed and dangerous. Widespread that I am peaceful. I worship only one Elohim, Yah. Like, wouldn't he need to talk to the newspapers about this?
It's nothing. This is what they kept saying in the other court. There's no basis of law or fact. This will never help them in court. It's irrelevant. It's mumbo jumbo.
And look, apologies from the public servants for arresting I on private property, a civil matter, not criminal. Apologies from the public servants for leaving I. If that's true, I don't know about that. That might be jacked up. The public servants, by the way, is cops, they're saying. Way of utterance, known name, so public servants can, I don't know. But let's see what else the demands are.
$1,000, no jail time, and various apologies and retractions. The commissioner moves on.
Do you plan on hiring an attorney?
I don't understand what you're saying. I don't speak your language. I only speak man to man.
Okay. I'm going to enter not guilty pleas on your behalf.
If you enter a plea on my behalf, you will be held fully liable.
Oh, dude, bro. It's like, this is what I mean by they clog the system, because you might think this is like, oh, well, she's just going to... They actually put them through, and I don't know how long after this court case took place up, but you'll notice there's always threats that if you do this, I'll do this. If you do this, I'll do this. And notice they never, ever say they understand. Daryl Brooks did it as well. Do you understand? The judge had to actually change it from do you understand to do you hear what I'm saying? That he could say, I hear, but they understand, because to understand is to consent, and consenting.
No doubt. Jason Brown says he's actually filed this kind of paperwork before. Man, Jason Brown, I want to talk to you sometime. Like, I know you said we were on Berean together, but I'd love to talk to you about the sovereign citizen stuff. TKC says, wasn't the Church of the Living God the pillar of truth of all nations found in 1886? That was the earliest BHI group. So THC, I don't know your side or anything, but you're reading a quick reference Wikipedia entry, and then you're wanting to have me go with it. But I'm explaining to you, it can't be founded in 1886 because Cherry, who says he founded it, lied because he was only 11 years old, and there's no evidence or record. The first public record we have for Cherry is in 1915 in Philadelphia. He was trying to just be the first one, but he was not a man of good character from everything we know about him. I talked to one of his former members who's now an atheist due to the silliness, I think, there in Philadelphia. It was not the first one. It's propaganda. One scholar named Fawcett went with it because he was just going with what Jerry said. But people have used Fawcett's work from the 40s and 50s in the book Black Gods in Metropolis and used it as if it's gospel because they don't know any better, because they didn't check Cherry's self-biography. But when you look at the census records, he was only 11. He did not find the church then. That is not true. It is not the first group. Okay? Reverend William Christian was the first, unless there's someone we don't know, but it wasn't Cherry. And I did a whole show on this. So just look up William Christian and William Crowdy on the channel, and you'll find out the real pioneers of Hebrew Israelism. It was not 1886, and it was not Cherry. Please.
And you will have these cases. We will be then sending this case upstairs.
DeSmith's defiance and language are similar to courtroom strategies of the sovereign citizen movement, which claims that state courts hold no jurisdiction.
So they are recognizing Dowell's people straightway have bought into the sovereign citizen stuff. We're not saying all Hebrew Israelites are sovereign citizens. What we're saying is there are quite a number susceptible, and these Hebrew Israelites are totally into it, and here it is for everyone to see.
Jurisdiction over them.
Who are you?
I am the court commissioner.
What is this who are you stuff? What are they always about that?
It's another way of saying, I don't recognize your authority. You tell me, a bit like Jesus, who do you say that I am? That sort of, it's a question with a question. It's a ploy. They do it all the time. Like, I don't recognize your authority. I want you to tell me who you are. You hold no authority over me.
All right.
And she's just a court commissioner. Yeah.
And TKC, shout out to whoever you are, but as far as getting upset, because I had already told you, and then you just kept on putting the same thing in there. So I just had to repeat myself, and it's off topic. We're not talking about that. So it's just frustrating.
In charge of hearing this introductory hearing in the court.
Who are you?
Who are you? So this is... What is going on?
You just answered the question, sir.
Sir, we don't have time for this. I have a courtroom full of people.
I'm not a sir.
Why are they not a sir? Why are they not a sir? Do you know?
They're only a human being. Only a human being. Call them a person. They're a human being, and that's it. Variations of that, but he's reading this. Let me tell you something as well. This comes from jail. A lot of, not just from religious jails. They've got their own little wannabe lawyers that give out this information. It has never worked in a criminal case, once or twice in a civil case. Notice they want it to be a civil case because in the civil case, you can say things like, I have the right to face my accuser. It will never work. It's legal mumbo jumbo, not based in law or fact.
Oh, Jason Brown is saying that they're saying sir stands for slave I remain.
Oh, wow. Okay. Wow. Okay. I didn't know that.
Wow. Yeah, TKC, you're still giving them inaccurate information. So you don't have to be talking to me, but I still answered the question. So you're giving people inaccurate information. So disregard your inaccurate information. So I guess that's what they almost like 5%ers with that.
The hearing ends when DeSmith refuses to sign his bond paperwork.
Either sign this or we're going to mark it as refused. I deny service. Okay. Refused?
Deny service.
I need to leave. Okay. You're done here.
Goodbye.
Fringes! Give it up for the
Get ready for
fringes.
Get ready for the fist pump, guys. Ready?
Yeah, so here's the part where it's like they're like saying, "Hey, man, did a good job. Did a good job," because he gets a fist bump. This is the sovereign citizen Hebrews Light fist bump.
Bumps his supporters, including KGB, who's watching from the gallery. The court has even less time for Salmi's dissent, which lasts only 30 seconds.
For I, man, Jordan Salmi, am
Blue fringes. I, man, Jordan Salmi, am in a state of man. It's what's interesting about this is this. They say like, oh, we got to drop the legalese, layman's terms only, but then they don't speak in plain English, so I don't know what they're saying.
a state of man, now passing forthwith. I'm not a
me take
responsible
him in.
defendant. You can leave. I'm asking you to leave. Is that an order? Leave, please.
5 months later, despite more disruptive court appearances, Desmith and Salmi's obstructing and disorderly charges were dismissed as part of a plea agreement. They were sentenced to 1 year probation for carrying a concealed weapon and banned from owning firearms in that time. They also had to write letters of apology to officers at the scene of the incident. Thanks for being a fan of Court Cam. Subscribe to A&E to never miss a new video.
So what is this court cam? It's just scenes from court, and you people watch this stuff?
Don't get hooked on that. I think Kami. Wow.
Well, I'm not sure if it's more Karma or more David. I think it's more David. David, aren't you the one? Isn't it you, David? I think it's David more so, yeah.
Nothing wrong with that. Nothing wrong with that.
What else do you watch with this legal, like what's out there that people watch with this stuff?
There's channels that are actually dedicated just to the fumbles of sovsits, and it goes from most of what you're going to see is obviously on the road where they say I'm traveling in a wagon, but then the more interesting cases are when somebody like Darrell Brooks on a real when they actually televised the entire court case, that went for 3 weeks of him doing that. We just saw a snippet. That frustration there times that for 3 weeks of this dude going, I don't consent. He objected to every question asked. So you might ask yourselves, what motivates, what ties these people in, right? Whether it's Hebrew Israelites, whether it's white evangelicals that are far right. If you look at it from the very basic beginnings, it's anti-Semitic. Not everybody knows that. Not everybody adheres to that. But it's always the same thing at the top of it. It's about control. It's about overreach of governments, whether you do it religiously, that sovereign is our God, which we all understand. But remember what our Bible says. Render unto Caesar what is Caesar's. God, what is God. So I get the concept, but there's such a spectrum. I don't know how. I could never sum up what a sovereign citizen and their motivation would be, because they take little tactics here and there. The most dangerous ones are obviously gone.
You seem to enjoy it, though.
A little bit, yeah. Can you tell?
Bit, yeah. Yeah. So, I'm putting on a new background, everybody. If you wonder what I'm doing, I'm trying to do this while we're doing it because I accidentally got rid of the other one. So what's the fascination though with the like the court cam stuff for you? How'd you get into that?
I got into that by accident. It was really because I didn't realize that most of the court cases that you guys have over there, for the public's, I guess, accountability, they actually fully televise. There's been a few where they won't allow. It's up to the judge, but because we're seeing so many, like Dean, you and I, we've seen this particular judge. He handles. I'll post it later for you, Voka, but he handles sovereigns that in an instant. He's so quick. He knows all the tactics, but he's not mean about it. He's not mean about it. He, like you just said, he's got that side of him where it's like, I understand. You don't want government overreach. I understand. But it also takes up a lot of court time. So we're fascinated with it because just when you click to a next one, you just can't believe what you're watching, and this doesn't work. Why are they doing it? What is the I would like somebody to come on your show one day and say, you know what? I've done this in court and it's worked. I've never met anybody. Never heard of
I
anyone where
want
it's
to.
worked.
I want to as well. Shout out to Larry Love for the super chat. Thank you very much. Judah Israel says militia groups do the same thing, and then someone else, DHC, says the goal is to avoid responsibility. Revolutionary Sword says, "What is she talking about?" Revolutionary Sword, let's maybe get you on another time if you're able to. So D New apparently is into this as well. Texas Chick says she watched the entire trial and Daryl Brooks even frustrated her dog.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, everybody. While we've got you, speaking of DNU, you guys know that Vocab and DNU have done blogs, right, amongst other people in UA as well. I don't know if you've already dropped it in chat, but DNU, if you can, if you're still there, or Nate, to drop that link to your blog on Moorish sovereign citizens, because what's really cool about that, it actually goes back and shows you from the beginnings of Moorish how it started. And you'll see the similarities, but there's also very big differences as well. But that's a really interesting read. So keep up with the blogs, guys. Subscribe. You can donate if you want, or you can, if you can't afford that and you can't contribute, you can actually still read the blogs by subscribing for free. That's another way to get back to the channel.
Apparently everyone knows about this. Jason Brown's talking about the Montana Freedmen, DHC, Judge Simpson in Detroit. Dan Smith thinks it's a conspiracy. He says maybe the cases that it works with are censored. They won't want word to spread that you can fight City Hall.
Yeah, I don't know. I think for civil cases, I can see, because that's very true. You have to be able to face your accuser. But from what I've been watching, you could be right there. How do we know? How do we know if it's censored? But I just feel like it's not based in law and fact. And just remember something. We say censored, but law is all about precedent. There is no hiding it. Once a precedent gets set in law, the next lawyer comes in and says, as per the case of this versus this versus what. So another lawyer will come in, grab that precedent and run with it for their client. So I'm not really sure that I don't know if I agree with that it could be hidden to that extent. It might be one or two, but I highly doubt it.
Yeah, I don't think so. Well, this has been fascinating, and I didn't know D New was into this too. So apparently, there's quite a few people. This is awesome. But guys, we gotta jam out here. We gotta take off. I really appreciate you coming on, Warrior Woman. What do you got going on next? Yes, anything to share?
Nothing too exciting. Just I really just want people, once again, please try and support in whatever way. And if you can't support financially, just pray for the channel, because this ministry, the reason I like to come on and do these, because I get so much, right, every week, week in, week out. Please support if you can, when you can, because it goes a long way. But nothing exciting for me. Thank you for having me, okay?
Praise God. Awesome. Well, thanks for being on. Your wealth of information. Let's talk about this again sometime, maybe with some sovereign citizens themselves. God bless.
How many roads? Too many signs, I can't read them. Wouldn't recognize the turn even if I seen it. Been driving all along, feel like I'm dreaming.